Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wandering Podcast, where we take advisement from outside the box. I'm Rihanna Ritter, your host. I'm an intuitive, sexuality, and authentic expression coach. Are you an accomplished professional who plays the part of having it all figured out? Who's strong for everyone else, but feels lonely, misunderstood, like you can't tell anybody the truth about how stressed you are, how not passionate you are about your life and all that you've created? I guide my clients to deep, lasting fulfillment. I re-engage them with their bodies, their pleasure, their desire. I help them align to enjoy fulfillment and prosperity in all areas of their lives. My guest today is Bjørn Ekeberg. He's the co-founder and CEO of Recharge.health, the creators of FlexBeam. Welcome, Bjørn.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. Great to have time to talk with you. So can you tell us a bit about FlexBeam and Recharge.health?
Yeah, this is a story that goes back a few years, but I'm now 5 years or so onto a sort of a roller coaster train ride of launching into the world a wearable piece of technology that helps people recover faster. It helps to relieve pain and repair muscle, and overall has a lot of health benefits. I joined this mission, a few years back, realizing that this is something the world needs. In the meantime, I think red light therapy, which is what it's classified as, has become, I think, more known to people than when we started. So how we set out is to make the first portable and wearable version that's easy to use for people at home, because we believe this kind of technology has a transformative healing potential if it's embedded into people's lives. Like if you literally start using it more regularly, most people will benefit from it in some way. So our vision was to just get this in every people's home in the future. And yeah, that's been quite a ride getting to where we are right now.
So is this, what types of injuries would be something that this would help with?
I mean, anything muscular-skeletal will benefit from this kind of treatment. So it's really near infrared light combined with red light. These are two particular wavelengths that have been shown in studies since decades. And NASA developed this in the early 2000s, realizing that it stimulates the cells to basically produce more energy at the cellular level. Something called the mitochondria, which you may remember from sort of biology classes back. It is becoming a bit of a focus point in health circles, like the realization how important the mitochondria in your body are to your overall health, to your longevity. All of these things are being more and more discovered by science. And red light therapy, combining near infrared light with red light, is one crucial way in which you can essentially improve your mitochondrial health, because they get stimulated, and then that enables your body basically to have more energy to recover more quickly. So it's a bit of an energy boost for your cells, is how it generally works.
Oh, that's amazing. That sounds really cool. I haven't tried it
yet.
Yeah,
it is pretty cool. And it sounds almost too good to be true. I bet to a lot of listeners, and this is what I've seen from the start, and my own engagement with the two was just, to be honest, I was a little bit, when I was first introduced to the technology and this idea and looked at the papers behind it and stuff, I was a little bit baffled of why haven't we heard about this before? And the reason, quite frankly, is that nobody has made it really accessible and easily available. It's been a bit of a niche, and it still is a very niche kind of thing. But I think it's something that's going to become more mainstream if you just sort of deliver it the right way that people would want to use it.
Yeah, so you said that, your goal is to get it into the homes of, anybody. So this is something that all people can have on hand and use over and over anytime they're needing to recover.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a kind of a device that you can use for all kinds of ailments in the home. Like it's a sort of in the family medicine cabinet, if you will. So I mean, eventually it is something that is for everybody. We have focused a lot on athletes and biohackers and sort of high performing people, because they're more likely to adopt the technology sooner. It's still a little bit, it's still largely unknown, right? So it's a bit of an education journey and building trust and relationship with people around the product. I mean, for those who are watching, I can show you what it looks like here. I mean, it's basically shaped like a belt, and it would fit around the small of your back, for example, if you had lower back pain and you wanted to treat that for a 10 or 20-minute session. So it's got 3 built-in light pods, like really powerful red and near infrared LEDs. It makes a little bit of a sound when I turn it up because it has fans built in to cool it down. But so basically you choose a setting that corresponds with the depth that you want to treat. This is the crux of near infrared light, is that it penetrates the skin. Yeah, so 3-4 inches in, you can treat into tissue, muscle tissue underneath the skin. And if our idea in making this device, which is unique really, because there's nothing quite like it on the market that you can put straight on the skin, right? So you don't have to stand at a distance from a light panel or something like this. You put it literally just like wherever you want to boost or wherever it hurts. And then the light goes straight through and stimulates you for a certain period. So anything from skin to deeper tissue is something you can effectively treat. So we work a lot with athletes that have targeted injuries typically, that, you know, like a hip or a knee or an elbow joint, you can reach in from 3 different angles from the light, and you can like actually really treat quite deeply. And then, I mean, a lot of our fans and users of our now about 25,000 users that we have, or like the devices we've got into the world, a lot of them are basically health optimizers, like people who are looking for ways to just improve their daily health, be it gut health, for example, or like if they have a particular organ they want to treat, or it's about muscles. So the range of possible things you can do with this technology is really quite amazing, and it makes it also very hard to build the credibility at the core and all the science and everything we built it on, because people tend to think if it's good for so many things, it can't be. You know, it's almost too good to be true. You sound like you're on a US infomercial, right? When I talk about this, it's like, hey, there's more. Did you know you can use it for this? And like, you can also treat pain. And it's like, it sounds like one of those products. But I really think this technology is going to seep through a lot of the noise, and it's going to be developed. And it's something I think in the future, a lot of households will have this kind of device.
Yeah, we have something in the US culture like, how dare something be too easy?
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
not.
It's a little bit like that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like it could also be used for anti-aging. So, um, for skin, like
Yeah.
to improve elasticity of the skin. And is there any possibility of overusing it? Is there something to be aware of as far as safety?
Yeah, I mean, first, just to comment on the skin part, because I think a lot of listeners will also maybe have heard of red light therapy in connection to cosmetics, because red light right now is there's a lot of buzz around it, and a lot of it is driven by skin and anti-aging, which has to do with the red part of the light, literally the red light. What we have in FlexBeam, our product, is also a very strong near infrared component, and near infrared is what kind of goes more deeply and treats muscles and tissue. So it can be a bit confusing. That's why I want to point it out. Like the term around red light therapy is now used to cover anything from small like phase ones and sticks to large panels to sunbeds to all kinds of things. And I've seen a lot of different face masks for people who want to treat their skin and so on. But it has a very powerful application for the skin. The red light itself can be very helpful. When it comes to sort of overuse, the thing that will happen if you use it too much is that you won't get an effect. So the way it kind of works, this is a little bit analogous to strength training or cold plunging or anything that stresses the body at a certain level. The whole idea is you apply this for a short, intense period, and it creates what's called hormetic stress. in the body, and that's what your body bounces back from it and basically builds itself back stronger. So in the same way that if you like I just went to the gym before this podcast, if I now just went back again and did 3 more sessions without recovering first and eating and sleeping, I wouldn't get any benefits from the workout at all, right? So it's a lot about dosage. But what we can say about sort of overuse is that it isn't dangerous, it's just ineffective. And you just waste your time, like spending an hour, 2 hours using the device. It's not gonna make you any better. Right. But if you apply 10, 20, maybe max 30 minutes, if you are treating multiple places in one session, and that's plenty, that's a lot. And then you just sleep and rest, and you're a little bit stronger the next day, and then you apply it again. And for most things, you need a little bit of time. You need to use it for a week or something before you see results on something, if it's been chronic or if it's something that you've struggled with for a long time. For some fresh and acute things, a lot of people notice effects very quickly, but it really depends on what you're using it for. And the key is patience and reusing, and
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially again in our culture, we tend to think more is better, and
yeah, and I've seen it firsthand in so many cases. You have no idea that people trying this out, right? And the faces, it's just very typical for if you're like you're curious and you're skeptical at the same time, and you're like, you pick this thing up and you heard it from someone and it's like, okay, I'll try it, and you use it for a little bit. And there's usually an aha moment, and it doesn't always happen the first day or two. It can be a little bit later, or there's something particular in which it's undeniable, it's doing something, right? How you can feel it. Then what happens, and I see it all the time, then people get really excited, and then they're like using it all the time, right? It's like, now I know for sure that it's working, so now why don't I sit and use it for an hour or something? Yeah, we try to communicate what we can, but human nature being what it is too, it's thinking that more is better.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really good for people to keep in mind, to do like you don't do strength training all day every day. Like you will literally break down the muscles and they will not be able to build back because of overstress.
It's like a focused, smart application, and then lots of rest and all those things will do a lot.
Amazing. So if I had, for example, a MCL tear in June, and I didn't go to the doctor. I just like did meditation. I did, anti-inflammatory for a week and rest. And then what I had to break through the most was the fear of re-injuring. So not moving because of fear of re-injury, but being that I had 2 C-sections when I had my kids, and that they sewed me up and got me up and walking within an hour of the surgery.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that seems not right, but obviously, they know what they're doing. So I applied that same mentality to the injury, like, stop being scared. You have to get up, you have to move, you have to do the, physical therapy exercises. But for an injury like that, what would be like, how often would a person use an infrared device to help with their recovery?
Yeah, so you would probably, in that case, we have a protocol for that developed by my co-founder and medical doctor, who's part of our team. There would be a sort of protocol to follow, and it would be every day with occasional breaks to make the light more effective. And for the knee, I mean, it depends that you could actually get to it, that it's not covered up completely with bandages and so on, but when you can apply it to the skin, basically the effect, it's going to help you, like, help the process go faster, right? So the thing to keep in mind, and this is really the most important part of this, is that your body is the healer, right? So your body will heal itself. What you were doing is aligning yourself and your inner purpose and your focused meditation and certain things. It will just take a certain amount of time. And I mean, assuming this was like, it's been going well, and this was not a crazy medical case, they had to, it has been working. I mean, it could be you had to go back to the doctor or something, but but if it was just a tear, then it's just a matter of time and applied, like, eat well, sleep well, and focus good energy, all of it, it will heal. The question is just how long it takes and how confident you are in that build-up phase. So near infrared light and the use of FlexBeam in this case would accelerate the healing, and it would help local blood flow tends to be affected positively. You get increased oxygenation and blood flow in the area where you use it, which will enable you to move a little bit better and therefore feel a little bit more comfortable, applying pressure to it and these things. So it would also help to sort of build that fluidity and movement as part of the rehabilitation, right? But when, we've seen this in lots of studies and user case studies of people using it over time and applied and being consistent with it. It depends, of course, on what specifically you are treating, but for a pulled muscle or a tear or something like this, you can speed it up by 30 to 40% time. So if it normally takes 3 weeks to heal something like this, you may be able to do it in 2 if you apply infrared light, and it will kind of heal better, right? That is just a benchmark reference because everybody's individual, but it has that kind of potency, and it's something we also see in the surveys and the studies and everything, that it's that it's significant in terms of the numbers.
That makes sense. And then this thought occurred to me, would this be something that is appropriate for helping with muscle recovery after weightlifting, or would it be doing the same thing as the weightlifting? Right.
No, it's a good question. We have a lot of users and customers who are in that sort of demographic. Even bodybuilders were quick to. They were the ones who started using for 2 hours straight when they realized it was working. By the way, got overexcited. The first cases we had, but yeah, it's a very popular application. Is after your workout. If you have a particular, let's say, a sticky area or a muscle that is weaker than the others and it needs extra warm-up, it can be quite beneficial to use it before practice or before exercise to loosen it up. But in most cases, it's applied after, and it will be complementary to the hormetic stress you apply to the muscles, right? It won't counteract it or won't be the same. It just gives more energy to those muscles, and it's signaling also to your body the need to recover.
Okay, that makes sense. And how did you find red light therapy, infrared therapy? How did
Found me.
Life? Yes. How did you find each other?
Yeah, I don't personally have a sort of a health transformation story of I was completely knocked out and then I discovered this and so on. The doctor on our team, one of my co-founders actually did. She discovered this technology after a hideous car accident, breaking her spine in 3 places, being told by all Western medicine that is all you can do is just painkillers and just stay there. And she started investigating other technologies that she knew was out there. This is decades ago, but it was part of her vision. She's been working with patients for several decades with laser, using the same wavelengths and different kinds of modalities like this, and had a dream and a vision to really get this in the hands of everybody, because she could see the actual application from treating thousands of patients with it, and then including first herself. So I met her through 2 of the co-founders she had just teamed up with, 2 guys I knew from before who are based, Europeans based in Asia, who make hardware and electronics products and so on. And that was their specialty. And they had discovered the science, and they met this doctor, and they realized that they could make and design something unique that isn't built in a factory in China, where almost all red light therapy products come from. We could design something ourselves in-house. This is based in Thailand, is where we have the production base. And teaming up with the clinical expertise. So they had already met, and they were playing around with the prototype, and I got introduced to the technology and tried it, and it was really meeting with the doctor and realized her vision as well, that this is something that requires more than just sort of selling a product, because it isn't just a shelf that exists and insert your red light therapy product here and watch the sales figures grow. It's figuring out how to get this across to people, how to communicate what it's actually doing because it's novel. How do you build trust and engagement with the audience? Like, who is the ideal audience for it? Because you can't sell it to everybody. All of these things were is what I came into basically taking responsibility for, not knowing that at the time when I said yes to the first kind of assignments and make a little film, something about the original founders. And before I knew it, I was like launching it on crowdfunding first, and then trying to build a kind of a way for us to sell it directly to consumers. That was sort of my dream in this, is that this is something you don't have to go to your doctor to get. And anyway, your doctor is probably the last one who will sort of read up on this kind of new technology. But that people are increasingly finding smarter health solutions on their own. That's the pattern and the trend that we could see like 5-6 years ago, right? That health is something increasingly people want to take into their own hands. You don't go to the pharmacy and expect to get like really good advice. You get pills maybe, but not necessarily like what should you do with your lifestyle, or what should you do to improve your health. And this is really mushroomed, right, in the last few years, of just the interest in it and the ability to reach people in a new way through, for example, podcasts like yourself, right? You're like actually helping and educating and bringing awareness to something that doesn't yet exist in the mainstream. So that was a bit of a ramble from where you started with how I came into it, but that's that's how I ended up meeting red light therapy.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people are just tired of, bandages and things that mask symptoms, right? We're all looking for, now
And
we're
all treating the
aware that,
symptom. Yeah.
we need to address the cause. We need to start from, the bottom.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And that's what I found so amazing when I met these people, including our like Dr. Zulia Frost as well, and just realizing, that's a story that got to me, or the whole, what I perceived as a paradigm shift, if you will, is understanding that your body is the healer. Like, your body is basically a recovery machine. It's not a machine, but it's just built to just constantly repair and improve itself. And usually what it just needs is the right sort of energy, context, or situation to help that healing. So from the outset, I wanted to create and like launch something that wasn't just like, here's your quick fix, like here's the magic device that does all the things that I already listed and said that it can do, but that the framework of this is like, you are in charge. It's empowering. Like, you have something that you can actually improve your own physical process, and you can pay close attention and conscious awareness to how it is impacting your body. All of this belongs in a different kind of mindset around health than at least I grew up with, in the typical sort of traditional pharmaceutical medical model. And I found that intriguing, and I still find that's one of the drivers for me, the motivation to keep doing and getting this out into the world. It's not just like selling a lot of FlexBeams, but it's like making people able to take a lot of their health into their own hands, find their own solutions that work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you guys, because I haven't seen devices that you can put on the skin. So how did you make it so that it's not going to burn?
Yeah, we built in fans to it, and this is part of our inventor, our chief tech guy who came up with the idea. He was like, this was one of his principles, is that you can, if you set the light a little bit back and you encase it and you put fans in and stuff, it doesn't burn, it doesn't get hot. It is a slightly warming and tingling effect when you use it. But if you stand in front of a panel, for example, or like a more stationary solution, these things are going to get really hot, right? So you can't actually go up against them. And so like, this guy's a real sort of physics engineering nerd, right? So he started calculating how far you have to be away from the panel or from the light bulb before you lose a certain amount of the energy. So like 80-90% of it is gone when you're already 5 inches away from it. So then you're just like blasting energy, and you're hoping that some of it reaches you. And so instead, it's just like, make it sit on the body, like make it so that it's comfortable and you can have it on you. It's way more effective this way, and you're not wasting any energy. And when it's designed this way, then if it's easy to use, it means that you may use it again the next day and the next day, right? Because let's face it, we all can fall into the sort of, a new thing that you can do to improve your health or something. And there's a honeymoon phase when you get it, if you're not getting immediate results and so on. And if it's a little bit complicated to do and you kind of have to undress and go down to the basement every day for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or, any of these little things will stop you from actually doing it consistently. And when you're not doing it consistently, you're not getting results. And therefore you easily conclude this is not worth your time, and then you don't do it anymore. Right? It's a cycle. It's a positive, virtuous cycle when it works, and it's a vicious cycle when it doesn't work. So that was one of the design principles we had. It should be so easy. You can just use it all the time. That's the best red light therapy device, is the one you use the most.
That makes sense. So it seems like you can have this working while you're driving, for example, like if you low back.
We have a lot of customers in the US, especially. Like I don't live in the US myself, but I see a lot of people use it while driving, and we see shots of this, and it's like, of course you can use, that's a good multitasking way. We know lots of people who have it on their back while they're cooking dinner for the kids, right? And they're treating their back while they're like, it's not in your way and it doesn't demand your attention. You just use there's straps that come along with it if you need to fix it, for example, and you can do other stuff at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool. Does it require charging, or like how do you maintain the device? How often do you have to get new light bulbs?
Yeah, so this is a rechargeable device itself. So you just plug it in after you used it. It's typically good for 5-6 cycles in the beginning. It will, maybe after a few years, it will drain a bit. The battery is replaceable also. So if you use it a lot. The lights themselves, we recently, like last year, we extended the warranty from 2 to 5 years because we have yet to see any problems with it. It lasts a really, really long time. So we wanted to make something that was high quality and durable and not a throw it away kind of thing. So the battery, it consumes a lot of power. So the battery is something we're working to make even better in future versions. So it could last like 10 cycles, but for most intents and purposes, you shouldn't really use it more than 20 minutes a day or something anyway. So just use it wherever you want and just charge it overnight, and then it's good to go again.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of batteries, one of my teachers described the mitochondria as the battery of the cell. So it makes a lot of sense that you would want to charge that battery with, I don't know, how much people know about cells and how the body really works. For me, I took a lot of anatomy and physiology and stuff, so I get it.
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff. Have you learned more about that in later years, or is it just this is part of your ground education that you still remember?
Yeah, I took anatomy and physiology in my early years of college, and then I read a lot of books on weightlifting and diet. I took nutrition classes. Like I was just very much interested in health and juicing, and I went through a big juicing phase. And
right, yeah,
I think a lot of us did at some point. I don't know when that was, 20 years ago.
A lot of phases, trying new things, but experiencing various kinds of effects. So the battery part is what also threw me for a loop when I got into this, because I didn't think along those lines initially. This is why I was so baffled with the technology when I first tried it out and learned about it. Because Dr. Zulia, my co-founder, would always refer to the body battery and like, oh, your body is a battery. In the beginning, I always thought it was like, oh, that's a good metaphor. That it's like, yeah, your body is like a battery. But the more I started learning about cells and how they work, and a lot of the new science is coming out about the state of water in your body, alongside with how electricity is conducted in it, and all of it, like your body is a battery. Yeah. And still to this day, we have a lot. I mean, we have articles on this, and we've tried to frame some of the understanding of the device and what it's doing around energy and body battery. We still get a lot of blowback from people who are just instantly skeptical because it's not the way we're trained to think about the body. They're literally calling bullshit on the body being a battery, right? because it just sounds crazy to them. It's just, oh, that sounds like something you're just making up. But it's like, it's literally what your body is.
Yeah.
And it's like, the company is called Recharge.health, and we take that very literally. Like, we think this kind of device will recharge you. It's a metaphor, can be used for all kinds of things, but in this case, it's very straight on, right? You can literally charge your cells, and then they will work better, right?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. It's kind of like with eating, the weird US food pyramid that people have been trying to follow for decades, that is totally not not the way that most people should be eating. I mean, for me, I eat intuitively, and I follow basically like where my ancestry is from, what part of the world that my ancestors came from. They lived there for thousands of years. Whatever food was available to them is probably the food that my body's going to be able to digest the easiest. And so that's the way that I eat. And so it's like mostly Western Europe. So they would be, pretty hungry in the winter. There would have been long periods of fasting. Meat is probably a major source of energy, meat and fat. So I just follow that, and in doing that, have not had any weight issues since taking on that approach, rather than trying keto or some other fad diet. So our body needs, because our body doesn't change as fast as our mind, right? It's been patterned for thousands of years to digest in a certain way. And so there are certain ways of nourishing the body and recharging it. It's really interesting to me that people would be skeptical about the body being a battery, or I feel like maybe anatomy and physiology should be required for everyone.
Yeah, and it would, I mean, part of this is, of course, education and how our mindsets are trained. It's also part of the skepticism or skeptic mindset. And I think, honestly, a lot of it has to do with energy, for example, or the concept of energy, which is really straightforward when you think of the food, whether it's the food pyramid or what you eat. Everybody would accept that food gives you energy, like to varying degrees, that there's energy in food. But most people don't think about light giving you energy, right? So you actually literally get energy from the sun. We think of the sun typically as something, oh, we don't want to get burnt, but we can get vitamin D as positive. But it's this very reductionist way of approaching the sun. I mean, all the food you eat gets its energy from the sun. Like there's nothing in the world there's no sustenance of any kind if you didn't have that energy. And we've grown up under it, and we used to mostly be outdoors and just shield ourselves at night. Now we tend to live in more modern environments. We're indoor a lot more. But when you're exposed to that kind of light, that gives you energy, right? But once you get into, like, it's quite obvious when you think about it. And the electromagnetic spectrum is like vast. Like what you get from the sun is a whole, it's a complete field. Near infrared and red light there are specific wavelengths that are shown to have a specific kind of effect. When you're out in the sun, you get the full spectrum. You get near infrared light when you, like, all day, right? When you're out. So it's literally energy your body is using. And if you live in a cave, or you close the window, or you never see the sunlight, you never go out and never get sunshine, you are depleting yourself of energy. Yes. Also quite literally. But it's just not something we're accustomed to think about.
Yeah, we've been taught that the sun is dangerous for us and that we're going to get cancer. And what I've noticed is that if I spend enough time outside and I get a pretty solid base tan, I rarely need sunscreen, because my skin is used to the light, and it's not burning, and it's not having the effect of cancer.
No, and it's also because your body adapts typically. I mean, there are cases in which you have to be careful, and obviously it's not all out and, like, take sort of normal precautions, but that's one of the things that happens. It's a kind of hormetic stress, if you will, the same analogy to what happens in the skin. If you incrementally expose yourself a bit more and your body gets used to it and stuff, you don't actually need sunscreen. I mean, maybe the Dermatologist Association will now sue us for like saying such a thing, but I think it's just like you can observe it yourself that it's like it's common sense, right? If you cannot control the time exposure, you're out on a boat for 8 hours and like you have no shade or anything, okay, so maybe it makes sense to cover yourself up in some way. But in most cases, that's not how it is. It's literally just be out in the sunshine for half an hour. 15 minutes. It's the biggest energy boost you can get besides the burger you have for lunch, you know, or even,
and not getting sunlight. I mean, it's so detrimental to our mental health. Like it leads to depression, and it's really interesting that, like, we know that when we are anything that our body is doing, whether they're thoughts or like moving my hand, it's synapses and axons are firing in the brain. It is electricity that's causing it all. Like we are a spark of electricity. That's electricity is what keeps us alive and functioning. So
and isn't that fascinating that that's not what they teach you when you go through a medical school, for example, right? The biomedical or a biochemical paradigm that we live under that's mostly pharmaceutically oriented, you can learn a lot. There's a lot of insights to be had from that, but it literally thinks of the body as kind of this dead substrate of like chemicals. Basically, it's just all building blocks and molecules. That's all you are. Whereas this whole other complementary side to it, how does energy flow through your body? Like how does electricity fire you in like all these different ways? It's I mean, it's much more understood in biophysics and people who do this applied, but there is a lack of general awareness around this. It's now how we think of the body. It's like something is wrong and here's the pill and it clicks this particular chemical and has a chemical reaction in the body in this way, and that's it, right? It's a very reductive view.
Yeah, when you go to the building blocks of an atom, which is what everything is made up of, we've got protons and electrons. We've got a positive charge, and then it's surrounded by negative charges. That creates electricity. So everything is always in motion, and it's electricity that keeps it all. Any kind of life is electricity.
Yeah, it is. And that's exactly, and it's energy, right, at that level. But if we market this or say like, here, feed your energy to your body and all these things that are to you and me are quite obvious, then I get the skeptic blowback again. It was like, this is obviously bullshit. Like that doesn't exist, right? Or like, it's not like that. And I don't know quite exactly why, but I think it has something to do with this concept of energy also being maybe stretched. Like it has a very particular place in like physics, and it has a very particular place in like nutrition, and like it's reduced, but it's a much wider concept. And when you get to the energy from the sun, you start then bleeding into like there's all kinds of other things that people will talk about as energy that if you're a hardcore empirical scientist, that you would find questionable, right? And personally, I have a like deep interest in this sort of blurred line between the scientific side and what's more, let's say, spiritual or mental side, because I think people can intuit things on, it's a broad spectrum, right? But I think that the resistance to understanding light as energy and like how it impacts us is somewhat defensive around a very scientific understanding of energy, which is usually about trying to quantify and calculate something in a formula. Like if you can calculate calories, which don't even exist, right? But if you can reduce that to an equation, then it's real to someone with that skeptical mindset.
Yes. And you keep using the word reductionist. And that's the thing about science is like, it's funny that we don't tend to zoom out. When you're a scientist and you're trying to prove a hypothesis or disprove it, like you're very narrowly focused and you're not looking at the big picture because you can't come up with an equation if you're zoomed out that much, right? And so we science is really just something, a tool that we use to explain things that we don't understand, right? And so it's not, some people have decided that now that science is God and it's like the source of information. And it's like, no, science is just a tool that helps us explain things we don't understand. We haven't asked all the questions. We never will be able to. And even if an experiment is repeated thousands of times and gets the same result, doesn't mean that there's no possibility that a different result could happen.
Yeah, there's the infallibility aspect. There's a lot of belief that goes into that particular mode of science, right? So
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, and our bodies are literally made up of like stardust, like specks of meteors and things and minerals that have come out of space and landed on this planet. Like we are made of metals and dirt and and that electrical charge, gives it life. But it's fun to think about, and it just, I don't know, I get frustrated when I see too much of this. Well, prove it, prove it, prove it. It's like, you can't prove everything. Like you can't ask every question.
Yeah, it's if you can only go by, if you're hardcore empiricist, right, that you are only going by the things that you can weigh and count and measure and all of these things, there's just a limit to it. And actually in philosophy, which my original background is in philosophy of science before I ventured into this. So I spent quite a bit of time just studying and writing about this interplay between knowing and believing, or between science and the sort of the nebulous terrain that scientists want to stay away from, but that they are anyway bound to be part of because they themselves believe so much in what they're doing, the science, so they're infusing it with belief, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a classic sort of introduction in philosophy that's about, if you really take that view that the only things that you can know for sure are the empirical facts, then you cannot prove that there is a world, right? It's the idealist kind of perspective that like in our days, it's been resuscitated as a kind of a simulation theory, etc. That how do you really know that what you are listening to right now and what you're looking at and everything isn't really a simulation that somebody prepared for you? And that, yes, it feels like this and this, but that's part of the mental information you're getting, right? And there is, interestingly and curiously, there is no way out of that trap if you're just looking at data. The only way you can step out of that, the solipsism of like, it's only me and I'm making it all up kind of thing, is to actually believe in the outer world, or put your trust in that there must be other people. If you're only going by the data points, you cannot prove it. You cannot prove that there is a world. This is like philosophy since the 1700s, but I find it sort of interesting on this topic around the limitation of what we know.
Yeah,
How do
and
you know that the world is out there? Yeah.
How lonely is that life and that way of viewing things and thinking like it's just me and I'm making it all up? And like, because I've experimented with that view and gotten myself very lost in it.
Yes. But it's sort of, it's all consuming, because once you start clicking into the idea, it's sort of like, it's hard to get it out of your head, right? But the only way to get it out of your head is that you have to put a foot forward, so to speak, and trust that this other person, that you are a real person. I cannot prove it. And now I'm literally looking at you through a computer screen, through digits, right?
Yeah. And spending your whole life trying to prove things is you're missing out on the sensations, the connections, the whole point of life.
Yeah, it's a quest for certainty, which I think is, the strong point and the weakness of science, which if you're only focusing on that. But it is an attempt, it's a tool, as you say. It's really well put. It's just a tool we have to try to grasp something with a certain kind of, with certainty, that is 100% replicable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
We're so funny about certainty. I mean, certainty comes from just a need for control, which tends to come from a feeling of unsafety, right? Mm-hmm. And usually we know that our bodies are going to die at some point, and we just live in terror of that because, you know, this is exciting and we want it to keep going. And but when we get ourselves so focused on control and certainty, which we can never have, we're missing the whole point of life, all the pleasure, all the joy, all the fun, all the intimacy, connection, and relationships.
Yeah, I wholly agree. And it's life is missed when you're only looking at those particular things you can measure. But then again, it's often about like convincing people that something is real, and then you need to resort to science, and science is an important tool. Like we are, for example, been navigating in this sort of marketing landscape with this device, FlexBeam, that has certain benefits, etc. There's so many things out there that are claiming to do all of these different things. And ultimately, then the differentiator and how you can gain the credibility is to be able to show scientific studies and show science and science. But this can be like, so it's very important for us. We want to build it on solid scientific ground, but it tends to be, as you point out, tends to be fetishized a little bit. That's almost like it's only the scientific aspect that is the true and the real one. And that's a very distorted view. I think you can be fully in sort of love with science and everything you can learn from science without negating all of those things that science can never tell you anything about, right? I don't see why there has to be some sort of choice between the two. You know, it's about putting it in the bigger picture. As you're saying too, like if you can have the big picture and you can look at the detail, then these are two simultaneous parts of the same fabric.
Yeah, they go together. It's both and, not this or that, and you know, or and also belief comes into it. Like if you are a person who buys the device, the FlexBeam, and absolutely has decided that it is not going to work for you, then it won't.
No, I mean, in this case, like we have studies to show, again, back to the science, is that it's above placebo in terms of percentages. But then again, if you read those studies, you're more likely to believe in it, right? And therefore it works. So you can't really isolate it completely. But believing in the practice is a key part of healing. And we have the word for this in medicine is placebo. That's you know, and it's taken it's often used in a pejorative way. I tend to think of placebo as it's another word for consciousness. It's just how it pops up in the medical literature. It's like placebo means somebody believed in it, and that alignment with your inner self also means that it's a more powerful practice and has more effect.
Yeah, when I'm seeing people with chronic illness that goes on for years and years and years, it's really the lack of belief that anything will work for them that causes the chronic nature of the illness. People who are not willing to help themselves because they are so skeptical and depressed. You can get yourself into a cycle of, you know, an early death if you want to be that skeptical about, you know, like you're uniquely flawed and nothing will work for you, and you can never be happy. It's a very unfortunate downward spiral to get into. And
and it's I wonder if it's a little bit analogous to the energy that we talked about earlier as well, because you were kind of literally losing your spark, right? If you don't believe in something, you don't believe in anything, like without that you can see it on a, you know, you can do a body scan and you could see somebody who believes in something and not, right, to a certain extent, like differentiating health states. But it's easier to believe, like if you are like myself, I'm, you know, I have one part skeptic and analytic and one part dreaming and into it, right? So it is more convincing when the studies also show that it's working, right? Then it's an easier story to tell yourself. For some people, it might just be enough that their doctor or health professional or someone they follow say it's working, and it's enough to get the placebo effect right away, independent of what it's doing. I know for myself and a lot of people I work with, it's not quite that simple. You have to be sort of convinced, but ultimately it's in the conviction, right?
Yeah.
Why is it? So this is how science came about originally the whole idea of experiments and doing experiments, it isn't to point to some place that proves things, it's to convince other people. Like the whole reason we set up experiments in the first place is to convince other scientists that like, I found something, look at this. But like, okay, so like now I believe you have something that's worth looking into. The whole thing is based on belief and conviction.
Yes. Yeah. I'm definitely also an analytical person who wants proof. And sometimes it actually frustrates me because it gets in the way of me having like really great effects in my life and circumstances. And so I can
yeah, it puts a limit on what you can believe in a way,
yeah.
right? If you don't have the proof. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can people expect to invest in a product like this?
You mean in terms of time or capital or
Capital, yeah. Like, what's the price range? Do you have different sizes, different?
Yeah, for now we only have one size that's like two different colors. The retail price is $549. We usually run like that. You can usually get it for around $500 or something if you know someone with a discount. Getting full scale panels and beds and these kinds of things are run in the thousands of dollars. So
yeah,
this technology is fortunately it's still advanced. Like we are working, I think that this will become cheaper with time as you could mass produce more and these kinds of things, but it's not a very cheap technology to make. So we made our best effort into building something that is affordable enough for a lot of households and families to invest in, and lasting to 5 years. You can get a lot of physiotherapy sessions for $500. To put it this way.
Yeah, it's very affordable, especially when you think about the money that you spend on pharmaceuticals and doctor visits and things like that. Not to say that you should stop taking all your medications and never go to the doctor. That's not what I'm saying. But
for the record, yeah.
But this is affordable. $549 is really a reasonable investment, and it's something that can literally help you recharge your battery, that is your body, and heal yourself. If you are willing to believe that you can heal yourself and that your body is designed to do so. I mean, if you've ever had a scrape, you've seen your body heal itself. So
yeah, there's always something that I always quiz people, what would you use it for? Do you have anything? And everybody's got something, and like that they would either try it for, and then you find something else that it's also helpful for, like various like aches and pains and things that I think for a lot of people it's sort of pushed away. There's more people who go around with aches and pains who wouldn't seek treatment for it, for example, who would just normalize it. This is a good friend to have in those situations. It's like you can actually get rid of a lot of those types of things without having to think of yourself as a patient that has to go to a doctor or to a physiotherapist, because then it's really bad, right? It doesn't have to be really bad for it to be to get results with something like red light therapy, for example. Yeah. So it's the everyday healer and the everyday sort of health ritual that also can help prevent you from other injuries, right? So that has a preventative effect and it's just a general health boosting effect. You don't have to be injured to use something like this.
Yeah. And how do people find you and the product?
So the product is called FlexBeam, and our company is called Recharge.health. Our URL is recharge.health. We have lots of information and background science and everything on there, and a good offer for anyone that comes from this podcast, I'm sure. And so, I encourage people to check it out. We have a 60-day what we call open purchase, or like money back guarantees, because people would often need time to check it out. We would love to be able to set up borrow and give it away and get people to try it first. We can't afford it right now. It's something we're working on, because this is something you kind of have to try over a little while, and you see how it works, and it becomes your friend in everyday life in most cases.
Yeah, amazing. And we'll put the link to the website in the show notes of the episode. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, I would just encourage people to just learn more. Just also this whole, I love what you are doing and the kind of education you're giving to people and highlighting different topics. I think it's part of an overall larger health and healing journey. Whether this product specifically fits for you or not, or for the individual listeners, that's up to them to decide. But just enlightening ourselves about what our bodies can do, what we're capable of, and how we might give it a little bit of extra help to be even better. I mean, this is what keeps me doing what I'm doing. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for being here and taking the time. And it's been great talking with you and very educational.
Thanks a lot.